At zero before a pandemic. For two guys that are doing this for no money, that's not bad. And it's quite a gift to be able to drop an episode and know that we're going to have 100 to 200 listens per episode. What a gift that is. But the way that we built that was not through good episodes, because I don't think our episodes are that good. If we have a chance, I'll actually let you listen to, because you were talking about music and intros.
Yep.
We're going to re-record an intro because it's just our voices. We're going to try and have someone else do it. We actually put mediocre, subpar, mediocre at best in our intro music. One, because it's funny, and two, we want you to lower your bar for entertainment. But the way that we thought we would make a lasting impact, or at least on our footprint in Central Ohio, is positive change. One, we're a little different than most parenting podcasts because we're two men talking about being equal partners and hands-on parents when most men aren't hands-on parents, let alone equal partners. So that right there was shattering some ceilings. We were able to start to do different things that got us recognition. So I'll tell you a little bit about this on the next slide. I have 3 different things that we've done, some of which will answer questions submitted. And then how am I on time?
You're good
I
on
didn't
time.
look.
Yeah.
So this is Sean, myself, and Heather was gone. So I was also having to babysit when we were asked to go on Good Day Columbus to talk about the kickoff of our Davocate campaign, which I'll show you on the next slide. And so I asked the host, this is live television, I said, my wife has to go somewhere, I'm on dad duty, would I be able to bring my son? And she's like, well, it's on brand, right? And I was like, Godspeed. And luckily he was not a sasshole while we were on live television. And when he did start to walk off stage, it just added to better content. Sean and I, in the late 2021, were awarded the podcast of the year for Columbus in 21. So really we got to celebrate that all of 22. Thank you. And so we're at the Lincoln Theater. I don't think they hosted anymore. I think they did 3 years. And so ultimately, we were able to win overall podcast of the year in 21, and that came into play to help us get guests, and that was another question too. So I'll get to that. And then we actually had to get professional headshots because as we got that award and we were able to get a little bit higher quality guests, we were also able to submit for speaking opportunities. And so we met some men that run a nonprofit called the National At-Home Dads Network. You want to talk about shattering some glass ceilings. Meet men who stay at home when society says, and these are air quotes, I'm doing this so you don't think it's me saying it, it's a woman's role to be the at-home parent. This is all men. And they had a conference in Phoenix, which Phoenix is still hot in October, by the way. But we got headshots because we were the closing keynotes, because we said we were an award-winning podcast when really it was all of our moms, like retired friends, stuffing the online ballot box every day for a month. But we were able to do some speaking engagements too because of that award. And then we haven't had like nationally acclaimed guests. We have had 4 New York Times best-selling authors in the parenting sphere come on. Most notably, we just had Charles Bach on, and his PR people reached out to us, and he already had a book that was New York Times bestseller. And what was sweet was when I went to Italy last month, my wife was reading a People magazine because I guess that's what you do on a plane. I was drinking all the free booze and watching movies. And she just shows that in the recommended books in early October in People magazine was this book that his publicist asked to come talk about on our podcast. And that was probably one of the coolest things we got to do. But with that award, I asked my favorite comedian and favorite musician when they were coming, and I already had tickets to go see them. Noticed you're coming. Would you like to come on Columbus's #1 podcast to talk about your upcoming show and balancing parenting? And so that was really cool too, to be able to meet them. And of course it was virtual, but then I was able to meet them when they were here. So that's just a little bit about
Who was the artist, musical artist?
Oh, they're not really that known, but the comedian was Charlie Behrens. He does Midwest jokes.
Yes.
And he was the husbands of Target.
Oh, yes.
And then Target just brought them
Yes.
back. What they talked about was starting a support group in the parking lot of Target because their wives go and like shop all the time. So one guy got his master's degree, all this. But anyway, each individual like influencer that was in that has millions of followers, and he's one that does stand up. The other guy that's in there is Dude Dad. He's got a couple million. So it was really cool and a great get for us. And the other is I like folk music. I have the weirdest reggae to folk. Like I am confused in my listenership of music. But Joe Pug, he's a folk singer and songwriter, but he actually stopped touring to help at home raise his kids, and now he's back touring. So that was cool to talk parenting with someone. So for our community engagement, our followers grew, and primarily women, not men, just to emphasize Dad Ass Podcast and Dadvocate. We actually picked up steam with a lot of women, and the two different moms groups that are online here, as well as women influencers, because of some of the work that we did. But we knew that the way for us to grow, at least as a regional small podcast, was our impact on our community. What kind of good, what kind of change can we bring, and what separates us? We already have a message that's different than most dad and parenting podcasts. One, most parenting podcasts are women. But for men, talking about substance, especially breaking down walls and talking mental health, we knew we had that, but we were never going to hit that million downloads or followers. So we started to say we want to build community where men will start doing stuff and showing up and speaking out. And so we did a couple different things. None of these are in order, but I want to just kind of share what we've done and tell you how this built up our following and built up our publicity. And it also had nothing to do with growing our reach in downloads. We started a diaper drive. We did 3 different diaper drives so far. In our kickoff of our Dadvocate campaign, we partnered with Bottoms Up Diaper Bank, and we were able to raise, and if I was better prepared, I would have looked at the number, but I think it was 7,000 diapers, a certain amount of wipes. It was enough to help 127 different moms, because they specifically give these to single moms. 127 moms and families benefited from this one drive. And it was the kickoff of our diaper drive. Our Dadvocate program. Real long story short, at our 2nd birthday for our son, we were at a brewery, a really cool brewery actually, that had kids activities, kid drinks, things for kids, but no changing stations. Son had a blowout, it's raining in October, and as family members are parking their cars, I'm in the back of my Escape getting wet down my back, changing a blowout because there were no changing tables, and greeting people. And so when I came back, a couple beers in, I said, hey, what do you think if the podcast started advocating for men's and gender neutral restrooms to have changing stations? Real quick, before I come back to the diaper drive, let's just talk about what public changing tables can do. All right? I'm assuming most of you don't have kids, but at some point this may impact you, or it might have impacted you growing up. If only women's restrooms, public restrooms have it, we are telling our kids without words that it is a woman's role to change diapers. That's not true, we know that. By having it in one specific bathroom, we're also then excluding a segment of single-sex families when it comes to dads, or even stay-at-home dads. On down to me being a chamber leader, if you don't have to plan shopping, eating, drinks, entertainment around feedings and diaper changes, you can also spend more money and support more local businesses. And so as we started advocating for this, we did a kickoff event. And what we did was we did a diaper and wipe drive. This guy right here we met online because he runs the Cincinnati Dads Group. Just by doing this, we got the support of the Cincinnati Dads Group. He collected them at a dad event, brought them up from Cincinnati. We met the Columbus Dads Group. They had their own stuff. Didn't even know these existed until we started doing the outreach. At the same time we were starting to advocate, we got connected to 2 moms who founded a business called Pluie. They took a changing table, added magnets to it to lock and be more secure. It has a plush top so it's soft and looks real slick. And then when it closes and locks, there are UV lights that make it 99.9% disinfected. And so now they took something, innovated it, made it look nicer for upscale places, nicer for the dignity of the people changing and the little ones being changed. And so they came and installed the first Pluie in Columbus at North High Brewing in Dublin, where we hosted this event. All of these started because we wanted to advocate through our podcast platform. What was cool about them, they were just getting started. They've now been on Shark Tank, so they asked to come on the podcast to talk about the Shark Tank experience. We're looking to possibly speak and be at the National Home Dad Con next year in Texas. They're out of Texas, so there's a lot that we're trying to do because of the Dadvocate program. I'll skip over here, I probably should have put this. When we picked up steam here, we spent 14 months working with City Council, 4 dads on City Council. We had the support of the women, but the catch was the men bringing this forward, where City Council last year put aside $25,000 among 4 men, 4 dads on council out of their general fund to partner with nonprofit organizations and small businesses with public-facing restrooms that needed this in any of their restrooms. We earmarked it for gender neutral and men's, but also we weren't excluding women because we wanted to make this, full spectrum. So we actually got to go speak last winter when it was officially publicly approved, and we got to speak and advocate about how this makes this a more family-friendly, forward-thinking community. And then we didn't utilize all of the funds. We were able to put out 130 units across Columbus last year, and then every bathroom or locker room through Columbus Rexon Park got the rest of them last year. But there was enough money for us to do another 155 this year, and we've depleted all the funds. So 2 years we partner with City Council, which is awesome. And then something I've always wanted to do is take a TEDx event and get men together and open up and talk about things men don't talk about. And so through all of these partnerships and things that we've done, we met a business owner that owns the Leisure Club, which is here. It's over by Columbus Brewing in the Trolley District. It's a private social club. You pay for a monthly membership. You can go, free garage beer, coffee, Snickers, snackers in there. They bring in comedians, musicians, they do cool nights. But it literally is all nostalgia, Americana type stuff. So Clark Kent, most of the stuff from when you got going in the 40s and 50s. But in partnership with us, he said you could host any Mom X and Dad X event that you want to host here. And that was a partnership that we formed. And what's cool about it is, one, it's not stuffy. It's a cool vibe. We did 2 dad events. We had about 20 and then 40 men come. They were 7-minute talks similar to TEDx, but it was in this cool vibe, cool venue. But each time we did it, we got DM'd or publicly commented by women saying, when are you going to host? Dad asked, going to host a mom event. So we partnered with a mom influencer that we knew. We said, well, two straight white men probably should not be hosting a mom event, but would you partner with us because we have the capabilities to make it a live stream, make it into an episode. We have the partnership. Why reinvent the wheel? So now we're working on, we hosted, of course, we said when the women get involved, because women get things done, it's gonna be way better than the men, and it sure as hell was. It really was. No disrespect to any men who were part of the dad events.
Hey, Superman is an alien, so.
Oh no, I was looking right there for the common good.
There you go.
For the
Yes.
video.
There may have
But
been
we already
people-
have women asking if they could speak at the next Mom X event. And the followership of the influencers that we got there was 250,000. Just to give you the quality of speakers and followers at this event. And so that has made it just so cool. So through all of these different partnerships and outlets that have nothing to do with our podcast, the podcast has become second and third tier in terms of the things that we're doing. We have spoken at a National Dad Conference for a nonprofit, like I had mentioned, National at Home Dads. I have now assumed the admin roles of running Columbus Dads through another nonprofit called City Dads Group. We've been a part of the state of Ohio's fatherhood program and initiative, and we've met people at the state level for family services, on down the list, because of all of these Dadvocate initiatives that we have done, and none of it has anything to do with our podcast. Actually, our listenership has gone down because of this. But at the same time, we've been in the Dispatch about half a dozen times. We've been on 10 TV a half a dozen times. We've been on NBC4 3 or 4 times. Good Day Columbus as a package and live, all because of things that we're utilizing our podcast platform for. Did you have a question?
Yeah, it's kind of a niche question. Have you guys ever, are any of your changing tables handicap accessible?
No, and those are conversations we've had with an actual group here in Ohio about us trying to do so that you can
Yeah.
get a universal lift for aging and for older kids that can't be lifted by a parent.
Yeah.
Changing Stations, Changing Spaces Ohio, something like that. Kim is her name. We've discussed that.
Changing space, okay.
I think it's Changing Spaces.
I work for a nonprofit that provides handicap equipment, and so I wondered
Oh.
if any of them were.
Yeah, look up Changing Space. If you email me, I'll get back in touch with you.
That was like
Who-
such a niche question, but like.
who I met. That was everything I wanted to cover. I have the questions submitted here. If you'd like to connect, I'm huge on LinkedIn. I don't have a huge following. I mean, I'm huge on connecting on LinkedIn. Let's connect. Shoot me a message. I'd love to tell you more. Do you have any questions? I know I got sent about a dozen questions.